It's almost comical at this point listening to these personalities have these new reinvented memories about information that has been on public display for so many years, even when I was a child. So to see all these people trying to milk all these salacious headlines feeding off of testimony from this trial, well, let's think about some key points of what this minister had to say. And what he said was he didn't know Robert Kelly or Aaliyah. So how do we know that he did this little so-called marriage for Robert and Aaliyah? On that note, you have this man saying he took a bribe to marry an underage woman. He didn't counsel this couple, so that just opens so many questions as to why he was compelled to do this. But hey, there's so many false prophets out here that will spin the word of God to make simple-minded people think that what he did was legit and not think about how this looks as a whole when you have a janky-ass minister talking about he took a bribe, and then this government clerk talking about they took a bribe, but this clerk isn't testifying, and you have an individual just verifying what's been documented. So let me get this straight. We're supposed to believe these testimonies are going to put the nail in the coffin to confirm this alleged marriage. We're going to bypass the red flags and obvious corruption surrounding it. And we just gonna bypass how obviously I believe this is the red flag that shows the type of things people within this man's entourage were doing, trying to extort him. But just hold tight, because I'll make this make sense for you, as this certificate and that tape goes hand in hand.
I had a 4-hour talk with R. Kelly. Now listen, no. He came to our home with 6 of his friends. And I told him, I have had a message in my heart for you for over 20 years. And I'm so glad for the opportunity to share it with you. He was managed by a friend of mine. What's that brother? Barry Hankerson. And Barry told me I'm going to get rid of him. I said, Barry, be patient. I said, that boy is deeply spiritual. A man can't write no songs like that and not have God all up in him, but he's got to be cleansed. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of you in here have done something wrong, but you are not evil people. Somebody got to reach into you and bring out the God that's in you and clear you of your evil.
May Allah bless, guide, and protect you.
Yes.
As you prepare for the next phase of your life. May Allah bless, guide, and protect you.
Yes.
As you prepare for next phase of your life.
Now, for 2 years, as I have documented how I'm seeing them set this all up, doing all these interviews, putting all this extra information out there, I'm telling you that I'm seeing how they're trying to form this alleged enterprise. So I sat back and waited to see how this minister was going to come in and prove the guilt of Robert Kelly. But in fact, he only left more freaking questions. Now let's move on, because just like they talk about this Aaliyah situation, they harp on this tape and bypass how individuals, a minister included, tried to extort this woman Dillion Richard, because as I have shown you, I believe she was one of the women involved in an actual tape with Robert Kelly.
So a couple things. One, the mainstream even now doesn't hear R&B to react to it. Right now, if we want to talk about a part of R&B that people are reacting to, we of course have the right man here, right? Because for those of you who don't know who Jim is, he's the one who the tape got sent to, like as in the R. Kelly, as in the original R. Kelly tape. It showed up in his mailbox.
Have you heard I Admit?
Yes. No, actually, I haven't. I refuse to listen to it.
Jim D. Regatta, so whatever your name is.
Oh, he called you out.
You've been calling me for 25 years now. Yeah, I got a whole fucking verse. I got a whole verse. I got no career except for him, he says.
He called you out.
Yeah, boy, was that an interesting morning. You wake up and there's 150 Twitter things at 6 a.m. Hey, D-Ro, R. Kelly's dissing you by name.
But that also speaks to the point that we're making. I think if R. Kelly was a rap artist, or if R. Kelly was a mainstream pop artist, folks would deal very differently with who R. Kelly is, right? Because it's R&B, and the audience is seen as primarily black women, it has not warranted the kind of attention, really until now, that it's deserved for 20 years.
But yeah, I think, I'm a huge neo-soul fan. Whether you're talking Jill Scott or Erykah Badu or D'Angelo, my God, right? But it doesn't frighten. If our theme is fear of a black planet, I don't think that neo soul has frightened white America the way that hip hop has, and R&B is either ignored,
except in the early days when it's rhythm and blues and very highly sexualized, right? And the thing about R. Kelly is like a multinational corporation. Like
he you find on the 73rd floor of Trump Tower across the street.
But it's
but he keeps the girls in his cult by Union Park.
It's like you find one brand that you hate and you rail against politically, not knowing that brand's owned by some other brand that you consume all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, I don't listen to R. Kelly music, but you just listen to 10 R. Kelly songs that he wrote for somebody else.
Yeah. Celine Dion.
That you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't shop at Walmart.
Usher, Celine Dion, Joe. I mean, you've been listening to all this music, right? Yeah. That he wrote, right? So
that's fear of a black.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
We got to take that on the road.
That's
you and me and Tarana Burke.
Well, because Jim had this quote about, had it been one white woman in Winnetta.
But I stole that from you.
Right, which he attributed to me. So in
attribute
every story that they interview Jim about this, I get quoted as part of that quote.
Because I'm a fat white guy. What right do I have to say that? And you're a black man, and you don't have the right to say. I'm so glad that there is now this hashtag Mute R. Kelly movement, which is black women.
Right.
Finally, because I've been writing for them for years. What they've told me. I don't know why I was this lucky. I'll tell you why. Because I would listen. Nobody else.
You want to tell them your theory?
About
on who sent you the tape?
Oh yeah, I think it came via Nation of Islam. Yeah, that's the one you mean?
That's the one I mean.
Yeah, because R. Kelly's manager was Barry Hankerson, who was old school black mafia.
Who was also Aaliyah's cousin,
Aaliyah's
uncle.
Was married to Gladys Knight, put Pippin on Broadway, managed Tony Braxton. I mean, this guy was juiced, right? He'd come to Chicago. He was the assistant mayor of Detroit under Coleman Young. He'd come to Chicago, have lunch with Farrakhan and dinner with Jesse Jackson, right? He had connections. And I believe he heard about this tape on the street, and he said, steer it to this guy. But I think it was the guys in the bow tie. Because the only thing, the Nation of Islam will fight anybody trying to tear down the successful black man. The only cause bigger to them is disrespecting the fruit of Islam, the black women. Yeah. And I think they wanted this guy to be coming down. That's been my, but I don't know.
Right. And if you go back and you watch, he did a couple of videos for his Batman theme. Yeah. And there's one of them in which you actually see the fruit of Islam in the video doing security for him. Right. So it's not implausible.
But what's horrifying is R. Kelly employs off-duty cops to do security. If we were to go right now to 219 North Justine Street, a block away from Union Park, where he is housing a 19-year-old girl and a 21-year-old girl, both of whom have been separated from their parents for 3 years, there are 2 off-duty Chicago cops out front.
Doing security.
Right, doing his security.
See, this is why it's all funny to me. Because while all these people giving out all these stories, other individuals sitting back riding the wave, making them look like the fucking fools.
One of R. Kelly's accusers made a bold move to try and get information that could lead to him getting arrested. At least that's what she wanted. This is a woman in Texas who claims had already made a public claim that R. Kelly gave her an STD and that she was part of, for a while, this alleged sex cult he's running. So she was having a conversation with him. She was in Texas. I believe he was in Chicago. Sounds like he was in Chicago.
I think he was in Chicago.
Based on what he said. And this was the conversation. R. Kelly was not happy with her. This is, again, after she had made the allegations.
Even if your father and mother don't like me, they know that that's real. And I just lecture you all the time and teach you certain things and try to make you a person on you got to be able to admit that you never told me nothing.
Do you think like this is all my fault?
What am I supposed to do?
I mean, I don't feel like I acted crazy. I feel like I just had a moment like with you, and you just totally shut me out.
See, this is not what I was looking for. I was looking for you to be humble and say, "Hey, I messed up. I was thinking wrong. I was thinking crazy." I'm not talking about this no more because I don't. Like I say, when you want to talk to me, come and talk to me. I don't talk on the phones about faults and fault this or that. I'm not getting into that.
See, I'm not sure which way this cuts. When you listen to him say, essentially, you need to I mean, I think the upshot is, at least you can interpret it this way, you need to stop it and just tell the truth because nothing happened.
Right. That's what he's expecting her to say.
Right, exactly. That's what he's expecting. But if you listen to the whole thing, too, he kind of says, I'm in Chicago. I'm here for 5 days. Come see me. I want to talk about this.
But Brad, I thought he was saying it because he doesn't want to talk on the phone because he didn't trust anybody.
Well, exactly. But then the part that he also says in that phone call, he says, why would you say that? You know you got to prove it, right? And it's kind of like a guilt thing.
I mean, that's true.
Kind of how I found it.
I mean, look, on one hand, I think it does come across almost like he was, the allegations have been that he has some sort of mind control over these women. Well, he certainly did speak to her like, look, I taught you all these things, and you should be
he's saying that's why your mom and dad don't like me.
But I do agree with you, Harvey.
Them.
Yeah, I do agree that at the end, it sounds like he is very aware that there are people who are looking to get him, and he's not going to say anything on the phone that could possibly incriminate him.
I just don't know that this certainly is no
she
smoking gun.
She didn't get what she was hoping for.
It's no smoking gun, but I don't know. That could cut both ways. It was really interesting to listen to, but I don't know. I mean, this case never stops.
Who is April? Oh my God.
So R. Kelly made you have sex with another girl? Give me a call. Made you have sex with another girl?
Make me have sex with her.
You wanted to have sex with her?
No, I didn't. Oh my God. You didn't want to have sex. Who is April?
Who is April?
Who is April?
Who is April?
She's getting old. Who is April? Why do we keep talking about R. Kelly?
Now, it says a lot when these people are more concerned with concealing the identities of these grown-ass women, but they exploited the woman in which they claim to be in this original tape, and they bypassed all these sketchy-ass false prophets in the background. Like even this guy with this tape, he even called himself calling out Obama's little religious leader. So again, when we see a lot of this stuff, we have to keep in mind some of these people believe in these type of activities, but that does not mean that because they engage in specific activities, the government should be allowed to put all those accusations on Robert Kelly. Now, if you believe Robert Kelly to be guilty of these allegations, you would think y'all would have the same energy across the board for all those people involved. Because if you think for 1 second they won't flip the script and hold these Jane Does accountable for the perjury they commit if they don't get this conviction, you're batshit crazy. Just think on that. Now, in conclusion, for those people that aren't thrilled by the clicks and views and all these people trying to capitalize off the situation, we will recognize that this whole thing and with Epstein, it opened the door for all these questions to be asked about the city of Chicago and all these trafficking rings that are going under the radar. So if you just ask me, my personal opinion, even if hypothetically you thought Robert Kelly was guilty, you would have to stop and ask yourself the $1 million question. There's been so many allegations of corruption within all these key players in this specific case, but yet who's investigating it on that end? Even when it comes to leaking this alleged tape in the beginning. Yet we see all these people being given platform to keep spinning these narratives, and no one addressed the fact that there's girls still coming out missing daily from Chicago and so many other high trafficked areas. On top of that, when people are being religiously groomed to be docile and turn the other cheek and maybe even forgive and forget, the black community is the one suffering while all these corporations are steady profiting.
The only thing I have left is my voice, and now I have to use it for my protection because they left me no choice. See, my work has nothing to do with my private life, so stay the fuck out of my business and tend to your own damn life. So go ahead, say what you wanna say about who I wanna date, but you won't say that shit to my face, cause you know it ain't shit to say. Next nigga bring me some dumb shit, it's gonna be a misunderstanding, cause niggas that listen to dumb shit are niggas that be on that dumb shit. They need a life cause they ain't got no life, so they always caught you in a dumb shit. Blocking my path, they don't know the half, it's all they making assumptions. Since when do assumptions cost a man his whole career? Found guilty when you're innocent is the only test I fear. There is one thing that's for sure, and I wanna make this shit clear. I done lived my voice and represented my country for 31 fucking years. Damn it, I admit.
Break out the food and the drinks, it's gonna be a party. Turn up the music real loud, invite everybody. Go ahead and smoke and play some cards and just make yourself at home. It's okay to take somebody's hand and just put your groove on. Yeah, roll up in here, I mean, couldn't be better. gonna be a party. Turn up the music real loud, invite everybody. Go ahead and smoke and play some cards and just make yourself at home. It's okay to take somebody's hand and just get you cool.
To see my people come together.
So do what you wanna do, cause you gon' have a good time when you in front of Snoop.
Because I know Minister Ferguson, you know, he definitely spoke. I think he had a private meeting with him. Nobody really know what the depths of the meeting went, but I know he did have a meeting with him. But these other ones that was a part of Lifetime and all this shit, we need them. We need them to step up and them to act like they plan a platform. All we do is plan on each other as black people. That's it. For fame and fortune.
Lord, please forgive me how I'm living. Woo.